All right. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week. Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines in Gainesville, Florida, with our virtual tasting for the wine of the week. This week, we're drinking, if you will pull up the slide for me, please.
Okay.
All right. The Chevalier de la Cree, Côte de Beaune, Burgundian Rouge.
It's a mouthful.
It is. There's a lot going on there, but we will unpack it and see if it's delicious.
Okay.
Is it tasty? All right. Ratings. James Suckling likes this guy at a 91-point rating. Food pairings, suggestions, but not requirements. Even though, honestly, I would kind of love to make it a requirement and be like, and we'll be there in 5. Right.
Oh, right.
That would be awesome.
There are many that
Right.
you could just reach within 5 minutes.
Seriously, I'm like, look,
or 7.
we do all the prep on the slides and everything. All right, you guys do the prep on the food. It's a win-win.
There you go.
All right. I don't see anyone nodding, so say hello.
Nobody wants you to come visit them.
That I get. How about if Elizabeth would go and I would promise not to come? All right, then everyone's on board. All right, grilled balsamic mushrooms, browned butter, honey, garlic, salmon. It's not a version I've had, and I really want it
No,
now.
it sounds really good though.
Beet salad with goat cheese, grilled asparagus wrapped in bacon, Irish lamb stew. Irish lamb stew. All right, and chocolate covered strawberries. How about that?
Sounds great.
Sounds great to me too. All right.
I have to back up a little bit. I feel like I'm too close. Now the screen looks normal to me. It's too bright for me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that runs through what we're doing.
Okay.
It's time to get some wine in your glass.
All right.
You can
perfect.
stop sharing if you would, please.
I did.
And I'll give a few details.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So this is 100% Pinot Noir. Alcohol content's 13%.
I was about to go. I'm like, nope, that's your line.
All right. So the alcohol content on this is 13%.
Okay.
And that is all I'm going to say, because we're going to take a sniff, take a sip,
Okay.
and think about the wine for a second. And the next thing we tend to talk about.
We do talk about ageability.
Mhm.
But the Snyders are not here to do the poll. Oh, one of them is. And Chris and Robin, it'd be great if one of them was here to do the
Okay.
poll. So if you want, we can talk about what we're tasting a little bit first.
Sure. Let's.
And then we have an ageability poll coming up. So
All right. To me, the aromas on here
Mhm.
just jump right out of the glass, and they are like a French hug, right?
French hug.
Yes, right. Beautiful combination of baking spices and almost it's a floral, but it's like a purpley floral, right? So lavender, violety kind of thing.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, this smells good. And like Chinese 5-spice too. Like,
Yes. And Rachel said luscious.
luscious. Oh, so luscious. But really, there's like a singy cinnamon note right now too.
Is that why I feel sparkles on my tongue? It feels a little,
I haven't even sipped yet,
okay.
so. All right, so for the sparkles on the tongue,
Mhm.
where I would go
Mhm.
is a combination of, there is a spiciness,
Mhm.
but it's not doing it on its own. It is building together
Mhm.
in a beautiful symphony of combination of flavor and
So
texture.
prophetic.
You
I
know,
love it.
here's why, right?
Uh-huh.
It's a combination of tannin,
Mhm.
acid, and the spice all working together across your palate.
That create like
That-
sparkles.
yes.
Because it doesn't taste like sparkling wine. It tastes like little tiny
Mhm.
sparkly pinpricks almost. Mhm.
I agree. And a lot of that comes from, the majority of that is the acid, right? The
Mhm.
tartness is, enlivening your palate.
Mhm.
And then the tannins feel extra prickly.
Okay,
because your palate's got the acid on it,
Okay.
right?
okay.
And then you go into it, then now you're also getting this, you know, like cinnamon has kind of a spicy, you know, thing going on there. They all come together.
Okay,
It's that play and that balance, which is so French.
yeah.
That's the thing, right? When you're not experiencing one thing at a time, it's the synergy.
Mm.
If we're going to go
We're
to
gonna go to corporate
business,
speak.
corporate speak,
Some synergy.
no more symphonies. That's right, Snyder's, no symphonies. Just
No.
knock it off. No, it's now corporate speak.
Have to
It's
stay-
synergy.
No, we have to stay with symphony, not synergy. Okay, and then the Snyders also said, and I'm thinking it's Rachel, but the front spice is balanced with the back end fruit.
Mm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, ready for?
Right, and beautiful fruit on here, right?
Mhm.
So we're talking about raspberries, black cherries, a really nice amount of fruit, because we'll talk a bit about traditional Burgundian flavors, but this has a nice amount of fruit for Burgundian.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else want to mention what they're tasting?
So that's my take. They might have figured out that
No one wants to mention anything, only the Snyders.
that's right.
Okay, so we will go with our first poll, which I expect everyone to get correct on this one. So there are two questions on this poll, though. So the first one, we're talking about the characteristics. What characteristics do we consider as far as the ageability of a wine? So you get to mark all the ones that we would consider for that. And then take a sip of this wine. Think about maybe what Jeff's told you and how long do you think this wine can age?
Two questions.
Two questions.
That's right.
Two questions this time.
And before they're even buzzed, we
Mhm.
just got started drinking. Maybe
They may do better without being
that
buzzed.
could be a thing.
Yeah.
At the end of the tasting, everything's like, and the last option is, it's just good, shut up.
We do those with the live tastings and see how people do.
That is fair.
Okay, so far we have only one participant. Only the Snyders have participated so far. Maybe they're the only ones who answered, but now we have two. Okay,
They want me to switch back to saying symphony and not synergy. That's why.
there you
They're
go.
trying to tip the scales.
We have three answering thus far.
Oh my gosh. So while I was walking the dog this morning, was listening, you know, I've been going through the old playlist of purchase things when Ashley. was
Oh,
in
right,
school
when
and
we had to
everything.
purchase before streaming.
So many musical numbers.
Napster, but before.
Yeah,
Actual
yeah.
streaming.
So when you had to buy your stuff,
Mhm.
so many different Broadway shows going
Oh,
through.
right,
And
because of Ashley.
and because Ashley was in them, I was like, yeah, I'm listening to it. When he goes that away, you know, that whole thing, yeah, like, you know. Actually, pretty great song. Don't cover your face, Dave. I wasn't flat. All right, what do we have?
I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll in 3, 2, 1. And share those results. Okay, so we have people have chosen ABV, acidity, body, grape varietal, tannins, and the wine legs. So
Okay,
when we are considering ageability, what three things should we?
the top three.
The top three.
The top three
Okay.
are ABV,
Mhm.
acidity, and tannins.
All right, so
All right.
we have 75% for ABV, 75% for acidity, and 75% for tannins.
Nice. All right,
So,
so
yep.
wine legs.
Let's talk about the other things.
All right,
Mhm.
wine legs are affected by the amount of alcohol in there.
Mhm.
So it is related.
It's related to
But
ABV.
it's related to ABV, but it isn't directly one thing that you're looking for. Really just look for the number. Because wine legs are not only affected by ABV, they can be affected by the amount of residual sugar in the wine. So
Okay.
it can lie to you, which is
Okay.
why wine leg assessment
Mhm.
is now basically thrown out
Oh,
as an assessment.
okay.
It was for a long time.
Kind of like
But-
junk science now.
Yeah, it's because it can really fool you,
Mhm.
right? And you look at this, wow, look at these legs, and like,
Look at the gams on that wine.
So you could look at a a very sweet Riesling
Mhm.
and think it has high ABV. It does not.
Okay.
It just has a lot of sugar left in it.
Okay.
But it also has big legs.
Do you also want to talk about the grape varietal and the body?
All right, grape varietal. All right, grape varietal, it is true, right?
Mhm.
It's just generally not the top three because once again, it can lie to you.
Okay.
All right, so
So it is something we would consider, just not in the top three.
right,
Mhm.
yes. So for example, some of the wines that can age best in the world are highly well-grown Rieslings.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
some of the wines in the world that cannot age at all are poorly grown Rieslings.
Okay.
Right, so that's why there's a back and forth on the varietal, and I tend to drop it as not in the top three. And then body can be problematic in another way, right? So body can be a part of, okay, you've got a big, robust wine, it's going to hang out.
Mhm.
That makes sense. There's once again, but it can be a false start, right?
Okay.
So because you wouldn't say that a champagne has a heavy body, right?
Right.
But it's one of the wines that can age really, really well.
Okay.
So because you can get a false
Mhm.
statement in there, that's why we tend to go to the ones where we can kind of lock in and
Okay.
you don't
The ones
find
that
the
don't
falses.
mislead you.
Right,
Okay.
because let's go with acid, right? So Riesling's low in alcohol, but very high in acid. So a well-grown Riesling that has the acid left over can age. So acid is a tremendously important part of it. Right, alcohol is preservative, that is, but it's not the only thing, right? Alcohol and acid can play together, and tannins with that robustness. Tannins also tends to be part of, and of the three, I would almost put it the lowest, even though some people might argue with me, and that's fair. But here's why I say it. Tannins tends to be like, look, you could like aggressive young tannins. Maybe you want that.
Mhm.
The tannins, it's going to age well, but it's kind of how you want it to age to mellow. So it's almost saying if they're too aggressive, sometimes it needs it
Mhm.
rather than it can.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
so that's why I would put it as number 3 on this. But that was fun.
Okay. Everyone has chosen 7 to 10 years. Would you like to tell them why they're wrong? Kind of wrong. Because there's a 10 and a 10 in 2 of these. So
I see. I
Mhm.
see. All right. So 7 to 10 years is right,
it is right.
but it also can go long.
Mhm.
All right, so this is a high quality region. This can easily do 10 years. So you're all right. You're right. It can easily do 10 years.
Okay.
But it can also do more, I believe.
All right.
It's one of those, and I read a couple of different reviews, and it was kind of that easily 10, which is kind of interpreted as it's not going
It's
to,
not a minimum.
it's not a minimum.
Mhm.
It isn't. There are wines where you're like at least 10 years, right? They're like a Barolo or something like that.
Okay.
This isn't like, they're both right. So I like them both as answers. And because it is drinkable.
See, and I would have guessed 7 to 10 as well, especially with the lower ABV.
Mhm.
Because you said it's just 13.
It's
right?
13.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Which in France, actually, you're doing pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I like those. Yeah.
And by the way, for the record, Brenda said 10 to 15.
Mm.
She gets the gold star.
Mhm. Yeah, I would have said 10 to 15.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right.
All right. Oak aging,
Mhm.
which I kind of skipped over that at the time.
Mhm.
So we're in Burgundy, obviously, with all the French words that I began with, right? This is French oak. There's no American oak on here. I think if somebody were to try and sneak in a barrel of American oak to age things in France, there might be a riot.
They'll take the guillotine out
Right.
again. It'll be,
Right.
yeah, revolution.
14 months though. So it has some time
Okay.
to mellow this wine and add. I mean, and we have that tremendous spice component we have in there. Well, that's that French without taking over. You notice we didn't talk about vanilla.
No,
Right, 14 months in oak
with no.
where we weren't talking about a dominance of vanilla,
Right.
just a dominance of spiciness.
So my question with this is with the region. Is it just that it would be not just frowned upon, like people, is it a rule in Burgundy? Because I know France has a lot of rules.
Right.
Is it a rule that you cannot use American oak?
All
Or
right.
is it just that they would like run you out of town?
I think that's an excellent question, and
Okay.
I honestly don't know the cooperage.
Okay,
rules.
so for all of you French people that are watching this,
That's right.
you can tell.
You can let us know. I would suspect, yes, I would suspect a requirement for French oak. That is my suspicion, but I can't tell you that I've actually know that exactly.
Okay, all
I
right.
don't know if it's precluded.
Okay.
What if you sneak in some Hungarian,
I
Anyway.
don't know. We've never mentioned Hungarian oak before.
Oh, no, we did.
Did we?
Yeah, we did when we were talking about Zinfandel.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, we've had a couple of them that, not many, but
Okay.
it's not common, but it's out there.
Okay, all right. Would you like for me to share?
Yes, please.
All right. We will move on.
I was like, no, you can drink your own glass. I've got my own. You don't have to share. We got plenty. All right,
All right, we did that.
we did that.
There we go.
Pinot Noir. Actually, please stop again. I do want, I really didn't get a lot of feedback. I threw a lot of my thoughts out there.
Okay.
Really didn't
We
gain
will not move on until you all contribute to the tasting.
on flavors and aromas.
You're not allowed to talk about anything else.
That's right, flavors and aromas.
Aromas.
In wine texture as well, if you want to say that. Flavors,
If you
aromas.
want to talk about mouthfeel, you can talk about mouthfeel.
Absolutely. That sounds like mouthful. I don't know. I must be thinking about Harry Potter quite a bit today.
Huge surprise. I love this wine.
Shocking.
Yeah, nobody saw that one coming. Yeah, I really love Jeff, I don't know if you said the same word, but like the kind of like bouquet, like right, like in the glass, like both in the nose and also just like taking a sip. Yeah, it is almost like having like biting into just an assortment of like raspberries and blackberries. Like he's kind of bite into something real juicy. I don't know. It's really it's really owns weird wines, and I'm like, I don't know how else to describe it. Something just saying like it's nice, but like I mean that in like the most polished sense. Like this is just so nice. It's kind of velvety, but not in the way that I think California wines can be velvety. It's more velvety, and they like you're gonna curl up with this wine or something else like that. It's very smooth and comforting.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
and go ahead. I was gonna say, I feel like it's smoothed out because you opened it 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before we started drinking. I feel like I don't.
Yeah,
have
you're right.
I don't have the prickles as much.
Yeah, we've had ours open for about an hour, so
Okay.
it probably plays into it where it's been just smooth sailing this entire time, where it has just been like, again, like hopping into a big fluffy bed or something like that.
Yeah.
This wine needs a snuggle.
This wine deserves to snuggle. It does. It just, and I especially agree with like, the aromas, the bouquet is to me absolutely intoxicating and just brings you into this wine. One thing I will say that, and Chris was talking about this too, and as were you, the tannins, right? We're talking about Pinot Noir. Many Pinots have no tannin
That's true.
detectable
Mhm.
at all, right?
Mhm.
B, Burgundian Rouge, all right? So Burgundian Pinot Noir tends to be much lower on the tannin side. So with a lot of my experience, it's not exclusive to it, but this is a more robust Burgundy
Mhm.
than a lot of them that I've had.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing is it also has a little more fruit to it than a lot of Burgundians. A lot of Burgundians are going to be more earth forward first.
Okay.
It'll be tart, earth,
Mhm.
and then
And then
fruit and
fruit.
spice.
Okay.
Now, generally not vanilla at all,
Mhm.
like across the board, but this tends to be, like fruit, spice, tannin, with the acid all there
Mhm.
together, a little bigger.
Sure.
And it's almost like there's an influence from someplace other than France on this. I wonder if there's a story.
There's probably a story.
You think?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so, and we do have some other comments about it. tart raspberry and cherry.
Nice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that's from Laura, John, Brenda. All of them or one of them. Jerry said it's very drinkable. And then Chris was surprised it wasn't super earthy. So
Right.
that's exactly what you were
It's-
saying.
yeah,
You
yeah.
usually have the
Mhm.
earthy first.
Yeah, that was kind of one of the things that I liked about this Burgundian
Mhm.
was like, oh, this is a surprise in such good ways.
And then also they mentioned some woody characteristics, some spice, some herbs, which we talked about a little bit
Mhm.
earlier.
Right, and there is an herby quality in here, which I really haven't tucked into all that much.
And he said woody like cedar, not like a forest
Mhm.
or like anything else, I guess.
Thank you for the cedar call, beautiful. Yep, I like it.
And then David said, I feel like the bouquet is weak, but loves everything about the taste. Maybe it's your glass.
Might be something going on in that glass, because this bouquet is jumping.
You could take the mic, David.
Yeah.
He's trying. There we go.
Sorry, I just feel like it's not, weak was not the right word. Small, maybe.
Not aggressive.
Not aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I like there's, and it can be, it can be canceled out maybe by a little soap left in the glass
Subtle.
or something. Because it's not subtle. It really isn't. Like, I know I don't normally like, hey, I'm saying the opposite of what you're saying.
Disagrees heartily with you.
But it really isn't. I mean, this is not a subtle bouquet. It really jumps out.
So to be clear, I'm 10 days out of another case of COVID,
Okay,
Okay.
but I haven't lost
okay.
smell or
Okay.
taste that I know
Well,
of,
and it,
that I know of, but
I'd say it's more likely that there could be a little soap in there because it really cancels stuff out. It happens at the store all the time because when we're tasting, we're cleaning our glasses and moving on to the next one. And then we'll get there and we'll have the exact same discussion. Mike will be next to me. He's like, I'm not getting anything. And I'll
Mhm.
say, no, dude, it's jumping out of the glass. And then we have to do a quick rinse. And then it really changes the perception. And it happens to me as well. It's stunning how that can happen.
Sure.
And it's common, which is why I'm throwing it out there.
Also, it is an art form. So, and you're dealing with senses, so
Right.
it's possible that
Mhm.
some people could be smelling more of the bouquet than others, or there are
Right.
certain notes that
Mhm.
you're getting that he's not getting,
Right.
possibly because of COVID or olfactory sense is just different.
No, it could be totally, it could be that, he's got a little reaction today on his little
Sure.
sinus inflammation. So,
Or you could just be wrong.
yeah, you could be wrong. You could be wrong.
And to me,
I love Dave, so I can tell him he's wrong.
I smell floral notes. To me, I
Mhm.
smell floral, but not
Mhm.
like cut flowers. I smell like on the plant growing. So
Mhm.
like we don't have a whole lot of like perfumey flowery plants down here, but
Right.
like you know how lilacs grow in the big clump, almost like grapes. So I can smell some of that. And usually I like really bold, really super acidic or some, lots of tannins in my wine. I mean, I'm like,
Mhm.
I like Kate and I won't name all the other things I like, but I mean, but this presents in a way that I'm not used to with Pinots. So it's like, and I can't put my finger on it, but there's just so many really great things in between it. And Jerry said it was very drinkable, and I agree. But there's just so many really great balanced items that are braided into it that I really love. He's trying another glass because he wants to make sure. He doesn't know if he's diminished or not. So
No, I'm really curious.
Right,
Yeah,
right. And then Jerry noted that he's tasting more pepper as the taste is evolving.
I think that's a great call.
Mhm.
Yeah, once he wrote that, I was like, yeah, let me take this. And I agree. It isn't all just about the baking spices. There's definitely like a really nice peppery quality. It's kind of getting down. And I'm sure that's the opening up. It's probably getting a little more anchored and earth based,
Mhm.
which, once we catch up to the Christine Dow Smiths, then we'll probably
Did you say the Christine?
Christine Dow Smiths. That's right. Dow Smith Donald's. His name is Christine.
It is,
But
right.
her name is not Dow Smith.
Name is
it was the glass, Jeff.
That's right.
It was the glass.
It
Different.
was the glass.
Oh,
Oh, I just,
yourself a pat on the back.
once in a while. So good. It feels so good. I'm glad it was. And actually, I'm glad because I wanted you to smell this because I think it smells beautiful.
Mhm.
Yeah, so. Dave, I want beautiful things for you. Okay.
That same thing, Rachel.
All right.
All right,
Let's talk about the grapes
okay.
or grape, as the case may be. I mean, there were many of them, but it is one varietal. All right, Pinot Noir. Delicate skin, nuanced. It is the most expensive grape to grow because of the thin skin, and it takes a lot of management in a very specific area. So those are like the hard parts, right? It is named Pinot Noir, means black pine cone. That is for the shape of the cluster.
Mhm.
Let's see here. Other names in Italy, it is Pinot Nero. And Germany, it is Spätburgunder.
That's fun
Late
to say,
ripening, it is fun. Oh, so many German words are fun.
Right?
Spätburgunder.
Schmetterling,
Das Schmetterling.
which means butterfly.
That's right. They prefer cool growth and a long ripening period.
Okay.
You can grow it faster
Mhm.
and you get that non-ageable flabby Pinot from California, which is just Pinot table wine.
Not to say that all Pinots from California are
No.
flabby.
No, right, but there are some, like, there are these Pinots that you can get like dirt cheap at the grocery store. They're not ageable, right? Even though Pinot tends to be, it would like to be a highly ageable
Mhm.
wine.
Right,
But that is not necessarily so.
but you can do a bad job of growing it.
You can rush it along. If you have low humidity and a lot of sun and heat, it'll
Mhm.
ripen, it'll do its thing. It'll leave the spate behind and it won't be a late a late ripening. Thin skins, they get mildew and they rot easily. So you
Okay.
really have to be in wine region to grow it. You can't push it.
Mhm.
So you're dealing with low humidity.
Mhm.
Needs to be a naturally low humid area or higher altitude. In this case, there's a bunch of breeze going on.
Okay,
Right.
so it's drying it out.
It's drying
not
it out,
getting
yeah.
molds. It's
Yeah,
not humid.
it's a lower humidity area, but there's a
Mhm.
lot of air movement, which
Okay.
really helps it out. Origin is from southeastern France, Burgundy, so where they specialize in it. It is the world's favorite medium to light bodied red wine.
Mhm.
Medium to light bodied, it can get heavier.
Mhm.
Even this one, I would say, is a full medium body.
Mhm.
Even though it's from the kind of the area that would also claim the lightest body
Okay,
versions, right? Low tannin, usually. This has got a
Usually.
medium tannin,
Mhm.
which I love,
I love it.
right? High acid.
Mhm.
This one's got a nice medium plus acid on
Okay.
there. Some of them can be so high that you really like, hey, I'm going to decant that and
Okay.
I'll look it up in a week and a half. I'll see it. Yeah. Top 3 areas grown. All right, well, let me just,
I do want to, because we mentioned the California Pinots
Mhm.
and Chris and Robin mentioned that they had a wonderful Pinot from California last night, actually.
Oh.
So, yes.
I'm gonna say many times, Russian River Pinot Noir
Mhm.
is often my favorite. Like of my Pinots that have really grabbed my attention, and that is not going to be overall a popular answer. Like if I was at a a sommelier convention, and I went in there and I said, Russian River Valley, they'd laugh me out of the room, which is not fair. But Russian River has more robust Pinot Noir grapes, and I like it, so I'm putting it out there. I love my Willamette. I'm not saying I don't appreciate Willamette and of course Burgundian.
Mhm.
We had a wonderful one from Argentina, the super high elevation one that we had as a group. That was spectacular. That was
Yes.
absolutely delicious.
Yes.
But I do not mind a more robust Pinot Noir. I like when they bring a little bit more out of it. As long as it's a more robust, true Pinot Noir
Mhm.
and not fortified with other grapes.
Okay,
There's a very popular wine out there which is labeled as Pinot Noir.
but it's not actually.
It's blended with, because in California it only has to be 85%.
Oh, right.
Right. So anyway, it's blended with
Cab.
intense Petite Syrah.
Ah,
And that changes the dynamic. I'm not saying the wine doesn't taste good. I'm saying it doesn't drink like Pinot,
Okay.
but I do like a robust Pinot. So I do. I'll
Cool.
stand behind it.
We have a lot more slides to get through.
Yes. All right.
Just saying.
All right. Primary flavors. All right. Cherry, raspberry, mushroom, clove. We didn't talk about clove, but I think a bunch of us will nod. Hibiscus. It's an interesting. Now, I'm not sure I'm going hibiscus on this one, but the floral note that we were talking about applies, right?
Mhm.
There is a floral note.
Mhm.
Mhm. Dry, absolutely medium bodied, medium to medium minus. This one's medium plus. Tannins, low tannins. No, this one's full on medium tannins. Medium high acidity, I'm on it. And a high ABV of around 13.5. We're at 13, so.
Sure.
Yeah.
The higher end of it.
Yep. I'd say we covered it pretty well,
All
but
right.
also pointing out some of the unique qualities of this Pinot.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we
Hmm.
go.
So here we are. Where is this grown? France, USA, Germany, Moldova. The Moldovan Pinot Noir is not to be missed.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I've never had it, but I would love
Every
to.
once in a while you get
Totally
one
do
new
it.
one that you get to taste,
Right.
so.
I've had some good Pinot Nero. The next Pinot Noir we're going to have will be Schweberländer,
Awesome.
because I've just had too many good ones lately, and that deserves a spin,
All right.
right?
Sounds good.
So New Zealand is growing some, and they should, where they've got a nice cool,
Mm-hmm.
area down there. Australia's got a few excellent ones. Giant Steps. Anyone ever heard of that? Giant Steps is amazing, really beautiful Pinots and Chardons. So anyway, Chile, to me, Chile should really begin working on this. That place is, I think, prime to make some amazing Pinot
Mhm.
Noir. Yeah. So, all right. So,
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna stop the share a moment.
Mhm.
Because that looks like the slides are out of order.
no, that's just where I'm talking about the origin, and then
Okay.
it comes back.
Well, we're gonna take that right out of there.
Okay.
We are not gonna show that one for a moment. We
Oh,
know
right.
it's, yeah.
Right.
Remember when I made you look at my slides and stuff ahead of time and
Look, I'm a very self-centered man. And when I get working on my own spiel, and I know you hate that word, and I said it on purpose.
Okay.
All right, I'm on my shtick, right? That's my thing.
Are you on your shtick?
I'm on my shtick.
You're gonna be on your shtick. Anyway, can I have some wine?
Peter, on his shtick. All right. So grape anatomy, is that what's showing right now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure if they could see it. Remember, I can't. So,
Oh,
alright.
that's right.
So,
This is You are screen sharing and bright green.
okay.
All right.
Grape anatomy, dealing with a thinner skinned grape. So the skin, and the peripheral zone do provide the color and the flavor, and they obviously are, but they're not as intense as like a Cabernet Sauvignon, certainly not as like a warm growth Syrah. But they can, in the correct circumstances, obviously make some tannins and color and intensity, but it retains, which is a very important part, that acid from the intermediate zone. And it's one of those that's a little reticent compared to some other grapes
Mhm.
on the sugar content, which is why it gets up to 13.5.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
All right, our wine label review. So this is where you guys get to annotate on here.
Hmm.
Look at the label. What do you notice? It is old world. So you might not have as much to notice. Right?
Absolutely.
It's been 3 years. I'm learning some things.
I just realized I don't normally hand it to you,
No.
so
I
that you
need
can look
to.
at it as well. You just listen to me.
Okay. A knight, a sword, and a horse. So we're looking at the graphic on
Mhm.
there. And maybe that is part of the story. Oh, it definitely is.
Yes.
All right, cool. I want to know about the Knights Templar on here.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That is all part of it.
Oh, cuvee is circled. And so is,
That would be where the vintage is.
right, where the vintage is. How do you pronounce that?
Bourgogne.
Bourgogne. De la language.
We actually talked about the last time we had a Pinot Noir, it was just a Vin de Bourgogne,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
Bourgogne is the French word for Burgundy.
Right,
So that means it's from Burgundy.
okay. All right,
I had to I threw something out. I'm sorry.
so
I can't help it.
the de la language is French language,
Yeah, that's right.
right?
Mhm,
So to me, I also see appellation.
mhm.
But I thought that was a US word. Is it?
Appellation.
Okay. So it's, all right, just the French version of it. Okay, cuvee, AOC, which is what we just mentioned
Right.
on there. All right, anything on the back? Never retreat or surrender, is that on the front or on the back? Must be on the back.
Oh, yeah, it's on the back. It's in the story.
Oh, okay. All right. So it looks like it does tell you the region, which is cool, and you do
Right.
know it's French. And if you know anything about Burgundy, then I would be tempted to get this for me. I would just based on that, because I'm seeing that it's Burgundy, and I know Burgundy is a good region in France.
There you go.
And I know that. Does it say somewhere on here that it's Pinot Noir?
Shockingly,
Oh,
yes.
it does. Okay, so I know that that's the red grape that they're known.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. It was
So-
kind of nice.
And then if we look, the back does offer a lot, 100% Pinot, 14 months, and 100% French oak barrels. So
Right.
yeah, that's a lot more than we're used to seeing.
It really is.
Mhm.
It really is nice.
Yeah.
Once again, it's almost like it's been influenced by someone not French.
Okay, all right, well, let's see.
So, typical old world style on the front, right? Winemaker name, location. The name Chevalier de la Cree means Knights of the Creation.
Okay,
Has kind of a double play. It's almost like a dad joke in a way,
okay,
right? Because
from the French?
because it's Knights of the Creation, and so two things, right? So because the Knights Templar,
Mhm.
right, were very much about religion, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
Knights of Creation, right?
Okay,
But they also were known for planting the Pinot Noir and planting the vineyards, not just Pinot, throughout Burgundy on their way back home.
oh, really?
Yeah, so they created the vineyards and they
Interesting.
were of creation.
Okay.
It's like a two-sided there.
And they must have changed their graphic, because we have a knight, and on the slide, it's not a knight, it looks like.
Right,
It's like a chateau or something.
Actually, I couldn't see it on the
Mhm.
thing. That is a related wine, also Knights Templar,
Oh,
from the
okay.
same winemaker. So,
Okay,
there's the whole thing. Anyway,
that's fine.
so it says the grape, right? And like,
Which is shocking.
it is shocking, right?
Mhm.
There it is, 100% Pinot Noir. Imported by Evenstad Estate.
Okay,
All right, so I was like, why might that sound familiar? So if you've had some of the best Pinot Noir and Chardonnay made in the United States,
Mhm.
it is from Oregon. Domaine Serene, Evenstad is that
The
one.
im-
It is, all right, so Domaine Serene is one of the greatest Pinot Noir Chardonnay producers we have in our country.
Mhm.
And the Evenstad family owns that.
And they're also an import?
They are importing it because they own this estate. This is a circumstance
Oh.
where the Americans built an empire of
Mhm.
amazing wine and had an opportunity and purchased this amazing set of properties, which we'll go into it, which is the Chateau de la Cree
Okay,
in Burgundy. So those are those little, like, you see like a little American note, right?
okay.
Right? A little new world kind of thing.
I don't think we've seen that from a French wine before.
Nope. That is not a common thing. Nope. Made 3 bottles. We bought them all. Yep.
Yep.
Got
Not
a great deal.
anymore.
So, now one last note on the bottom. This is Knights Templar Cuvée. So I've talked about cuvées before,
Mhm.
right? But cuvée is a loosely defined term.
Right,
tends to mean loosely a blend.
but could it be a blend of different Pinot Noir grapes from different?
Different areas?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all
So-
Pinot Noir, but it's different.
Exactly. So in this case, the cuvee is not multiple different grapes. It's all Pinot, but from different areas throughout Beaune.
Okay.
Right?
Well,
That's right.
I like that.
So there we go.
Cool.
So that's the label. Where in the world are we? Am I allowed to?
Loosely.
All right. So we're
You can
over
keep
here.
references.
There's France. There is France.
Third.
We're in the top third of the northern growing.
Latitude, yep.
All right.
Okay, first we're gonna have a Burgundy pole. All right,
That was my favorite strip joint when we went there.
was it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Burgundy pole.
Cool. Mine too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you know, they gave you lots of attention.
All right, so. All right, which of the following is true? So last week we had one that you're picking out falsehoods. You're looking at these, which things are true? I'm gonna give you a big hint. There are 3 trues and 3 falses, so. Yeah, huge hint.
You did a great job on these facts. That was really cool.
So we have 2 people answering so far. See, what I like about this is they can just answer and it doesn't like call out who put what,
Nice.
you know?
I'm just, because my,
What are you doing?
because it rang so much when I did the thing, it just made me think, I gotta have more Pinot.
Do a little walking.
No walking.
All right, we're still answering.
Destiny.
I will say that there were some things on here that Jeff did not know.
This is true.
Mhm.
Yep. There were things I did not know. Like,
Yep, I showed it to
Guess
you
away.
ahead of time in case I found some like blatant falsehoods or whatever, but I did verify these different ways. So maybe next time I don't show it to you.
that would be good because I honestly would have had a lot of fun because I would have been stumped on a couple of
Well,
these.
you can
Yeah.
tell them afterward what you would have been stumped on.
I'd be happy to.
Okay,
I can fess up to my ignorance.
all right. Everyone has participated. So
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna end the poll. 3, 2, 1. And share those results. So we have someone picked all of the, all of them have been chosen. So I'm going to
Okay.
go through. You would think that Burgundy produces 15% of the overall wine production in France because it's so well known. It is 3% of the overall wine production,
Yeah.
which is crazy to me.
No, that was shocking to me.
That is
That really
only
was.
3%. Yeah, so that one is false because the percentage is, I actually marked it what I would have thought it was rather than, but it's only 3%. The second one is also false. It doesn't produce twice as much red wine. It produces twice as much white wine.
Would have guessed that wrong.
Yeah.
Yep, I would have been wrong.
Yeah, so Chardonnay specifically versus Pinot. Then the third one is true. So it is limestone terroir because it was once a shallow sea. So that is true. It does have the largest navigable river network in France. So between the rivers and canals, they have 1,000 kilometers or 621 miles of navigable rivers there. So you can sail up and down. And that is the most in France. And it is the birthplace of Dijon mustard. Dijon is the capital of Burgundy. So if you knew that, probably guessed that that one was correct. And then this is false. Monks were responsible for cultivating Pinot Noir. That is true, but it was 1,000 years ago, not 500 years ago. So So the first part is true, but the number of years is false. So thank you everyone for playing along with my poll. Thank you for playing with my poll. All right, so next. We're going back to back with participation. So
Take the words out of my mouth.
you get to annotate on here. I actually found a map, doesn't have Burgundy marked on here. So please use your stamp or mark in some way. The pen is kind of hard to see sometimes, so that's why the stamp is nice.
You might want to use the sword then.
Where you think Burgundy is.
Back to the sword from the.
And I had people say, well, I don't know where this region in California is. So now I also think this is a great way to learn where things are if you're having to actually mark them.
No, I think it's a very good idea.
Yep. Okay. So we have 2 marks so far. Then we have one just out in left field, not on the map at all. Right here.
Oh,
I think they were just moving it away. Anybody else want to stamp or mark on the map? I see. The Snyders have marked in yellow so that you can see where it is. You may not be able to see it on the next map though. But we do see where it is right now.
David didn't know a screen was a touchscreen.
Yeah.
It's like, look at that. It's not awfully fancy.
All right, I'll wait just a moment longer. Give a little bit more wait time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and advance in 3, 2, 1. All right, so we do have marked
There we go.
where Burgundy is.
Very nice.
Good job. Awesome. All right, let me clear that while you talk about it.
All right. Côte de Beaune in Burgundy. All right, so actually it's nice, this map here, you can see it. It's right in the middle. So technically Beaujolais is
Mhm.
part of Burgundy.
Mhm.
People talk about it so separately because they use different grapes.
Sure.
They use different red grapes.
Okay.
They actually grow Chardonnay down there as
Oh,
well.
okay.
But this is where they grow Gamay. So Beaujolais is Gamay, the ultimate Thanksgiving wine, right?
I did read that they grow some rosé as well, but very little.
Yeah.
Maybe not in Beaujolais, but
Yeah.
in Burgundy.
Yeah, I haven't had much of that.
Mhm.
So, and actually go up here to Chablis
Mhm.
and then Champagne. Technically, all of this is Burgundy.
Oh,
Yeah,
Champagne.
these
is
are
part of-
sub-regions of Burgundy.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you see, it's quite the extensive system. It goes a long way. All right, so within Burgundy, right in the middle, we have Côte de Beaune. Côte de Beaune and Côte de Nuit together
Mhm.
are known as Côte d'Or.
Okay.
All right, so if you see Côte d'Or and you're like, why can't I find this on a map? Because honestly, it was frustrating me.
Okay.
It's because it's actually
The whole.
the whole thing together is Côte d'Or,
Okay.
but it's Côte de Beaune and Côte de Nuit. So the AOC, which we'll talk about, that's the French delineation, right?
Mhm.
Côte de Beaune has arguably the highest end regions within Burgundy.
Oh.
So
okay.
when you're dealing with what we're dealing with here, for example, this is a cuvee of Côte de Beaune.
Mhm.
You're not messing around.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
Okay. If you know your regions, then you're impressed by seeing that on there.
right.
You pick up the bottle and run home with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
All right. So Beaune, rolling hills, valley, we saw it was like a river valley based,
Mhm.
System. Nice rolling hills, lots of limestone in the soil. See. All right, so let me go through it. Only grapes that are grown here are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. That's all that's allowed. Because they're both 100% varietal. If you see Côte de Beaune or Burgundian for that matter, but if you see Côte de Beaune and you see it's a red wine bottle, some of them won't even say red or white, right? You just have to look at the bottle and be like, oh, that's darker, that's going to be red. But anyway, if it's red, it's going to be Pinot. If it's white, it's going to be Chardonnay. And they'll just call it Rouge or Blanc, right? There are, let's see, the classifications. So we have AOC within France, all right, AOC, appellation d'origine, control, so a controlled origin, right? So this is the bigger side of the best stuff.
Okay.
It actually digs in from there in the next slide.
Oh.
But
okay.
in general, AOC means, for example, Burgundy, right? Or Côte de Beaune.
Okay.
And then within Côte de Beaune, you have things like Montrachet, which we'll get into in the next one. Right?
Okay.
So IGP, a little bit less distinct. That's you're like, okay, Languedoc, but not, that kind of a thing. So, and then Vin de France. Now, Vin de France,
We had one that was just Vin de France.
remember that? And that was because it crossed boundaries that weren't allowed to
Oh,
happen.
that's right. Okay.
Right. So there is Vin de France, right? Which is just because it's very casual drinking table wine, which is fine. But then there's also Vin de France because you broke the rules and now you're just table wine, which we've seen in,
So they're punishing them.
yeah, they are.
Okay.
And which we've seen in Italy does the same thing.
Okay.
So within the AOP, right? So then you have Grand Cru, Premier Cru, like these things that we've seen in there. So you see the little black dot, that's the Grand Cru.
Oh, wow.
Then you have Premier Cru, which is still there. So to kind of put that in perspective, those crus designations were created by the monks when they were making the wine 1,000 years ago.
Mhm.
All right. So Premier Cru here, this was cardinal level wine. Grand Cru was Pope
Pope.
level.
Okay.
Right.
Right. What did they still do that?
Maybe.
Who knows? Go to the Vatican and ask them.
All right. Chateau de la Cree, right? So historic wine production since the 1400s. But notably, it was purchased in 2015 by Grace and Ken Evenstad, that own the owners of the internationally respected Domaine Serene in Oregon. Their Oregonian wines are very exceptionally Burgundian in style. So it was just an easy match, right? So they wanted to go back to everything that they wanted to grab a great location when they can, and they had this amazing opportunity to get in here. And I'll show you how interesting this opportunity was in just a second with a map. But just to give a little back information about Domaine Serene, right? The Oregonian product. So their first vintage was in 1990. In 2010, they had one of the top 3 Pinot Noirs on earth from Wine Spectator.
Yes.
As judged by Wine Spectator, but still. And by 2014, they had a top 3 Chardonnay. So in Oregon, which is, they are making these incredible wines over there. And we carry their wines when we can. This interesting purchase is a collection of vineyards throughout Côte d'Or.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you see the reds and the whites and that kind of a thing. So they have 7 Premier Cru locations that were included. So when they bought Chateau Le Cree, it actually was a collection which only adds up to like 25 acres.
All of those.
But it's all
locations?
throughout those locations.
It's 1 acre each.
Right. It's really kind of an interesting purchase. Now, there is a chateau that you can visit that kind of brings it all together, and that's where they make the wine.
Okay.
But when they are, when they are estate growing, it's not all necessarily contiguous.
Okay.
But when you get a cuvee,
Probably not.
right? When you get a cuvee, it's from all over their
Mhm.
properties, right? So. Pretty cool. All right. So that
Would you like
is their
to?
story.
Okay.
So the next thing that I saw in there was the ratings.
Oh, okay.
So
Do we want to stop a moment and talk about things and then go back to the ratings?
I would like to.
Okay,
What would you like to?
that works for me. Any comments, questions, wonderings?
Yeah, you guys have heard it all. So that was my fun reveal, is that there's an American,
I think
Probably
it's
sitting
very
around
cool.
there.
Yes.
and I forget, like, when we were doing the McNabb wines, that was the Italian crossover to the United States.
Oh, wait.
Old world, new world.
The password is Maurice.
Okay,
And I keep hearing the Steve Miller Band. Some
Right.
people call me Maurice.
right. Well, I was hearing that, but the reason the password was Maurice was because of the name Chevalier. Maurice Chevalier was an entertainer in France. Like,
Okay.
yeah, so basically, I think it was more like 1920s through 40s,
Mhm.
maybe 30s through 50s, somewhere in that time frame.
Okay.
And honestly, the reason I know Maurice Chevalier
Mhm.
is because of Mel Brooks with History of the World Part 1. Because when they did the whole part on the French Revolution,
Mhm.
and they were all talking and they're like, oh, we are so poor, we don't even have our own accent. We all sound like Maurice Chevalier. Ha ha ha.
I have not memorized that movie.
I very much have that movie memorized, and Mel Brooks is one of my favorite creations ever for this world. So,
So, and then Jerry said, and in the US, he's an entertainer as well.
oh, okay, there we
Yep.
go.
Thank heaven for little girls. Is that in?
Oh, is that Maurice Chevalier? Okay.
It does sound a little creepy.
Yeah.
I will say it does. I agree. Okay. They said, the Snyder said they didn't over chill and it was great.
Mhm.
It was great with a wiggle.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
And then it's been drinking and evolving. Oh, okay.
Hmm.
And they had no conditions or requirements for it. They were able to drink it and enjoy it.
Nice.
And okay, we're not going to get too much into that Thank Heaven for Little Girls song because
Mhm.
I'm thinking it might get creepier the more lyrics you put in the chat.
It's Chevalier de Creepy, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
We will not associate directly.
All right. So would you like to move on to the one?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, let's, so you guys know the whole thing I discussed. I'm trying to hold back. I already used the word
It's
spiel.
fine. I'll get over it. I got over the word that Ashley uses all the time. So,
So wine scores, this guy's listed up at outstanding, right? 91 up in that range. Wine superior character and style. Consider as you think about your rating on this, what is the wine? What is the grape? How much do you like it versus how much was it well made? And how much does it give you some wonderful experience, factoring in the last factor for the price, because Burgundy can be incredibly expensive.
oh, true.
So factoring that in, let me know what you guys think.
Yep. So I have launched the poll. So you can put your wine score in that way. All right, I'll wait just a moment more because I do think we have one in the chat and then I think the rest are just on the poll. The rest are on the poll.
Everyone's on the poll.
Trying so hard to keep them
Bunch
off of
failed
it. but-
fathers.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna end the poll in
Okay.
3, 2, 1. And I'll share those results. We do have everyone at a 92,
Wow.
94.
Nice cluster.
I may start delineating that more because we're tending to fall within that.
Mhm.
We do have a 90 from Consuelo in the chat. And then Chris and Robin said they voted the range 90 to 94, but it's much closer to 94.
Right, and and that you bring up a good point, because that jump from 92 to 94 is actually huge.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, not that shocks me
Mhm.
from them. But yeah, it's, I think, well, there was a reason I jumped all over this wine when I tasted it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we waited 2 weeks to have the wine as well, because we were going
Okay.
to have it last week, but mhm.
That's right, when it didn't come and then we had to get it delivered again. It's like,
Yep.
longing makes the heart grow fonder, point up.
There you
There we
go.
go.
Next.
All right, So what do you do? What do you rate it?
Oh, yeah, I would have been an easy 93 plus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree. This, and you guys know, I'm not an easy win when it comes to Pinot Noir, right? If Pinots, I do like really big, robust wines. That's not unusual for an American. And so, but I like a really well-made Pinot, and I like a Pinot. This is kind of like me with Zin. If you have a Zin that you grew well enough to have tannin, you tend to win me over. All of a sudden, I'm a huge fan. And it's kind of that way with Pinot Noir. If you grew your Pinot Noir and, you know, kept and invented it so that you have tannin. All right, let's get on this. That robust Pinot is going to go with so many more foods, right? So anyway, that's me. I think the other qualities tend to go with it. I've never had ever a Pinot Noir with tannin, but poorly done in other areas. I don't believe that that is a thing that happens, right? If you have grown the grape so that you're able to coax out a thicker skin and some tannin in the Pinot, well, you have some exceptional juice, right? It doesn't, I've not had a single one ever in all the wines that I've had that has tannins that let me down.
It's an interesting thing. Is that specific to just Pinot?
Zin too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Because both of them can be the other side where I'm just like,
Sure.
oh, no.
Just weak and flabby.
Yeah.
Nobody likes weak and flabby.
Nope.
All right. We'll thank our sources.
All right. Thank you very much. Wine Folly, always amazing resource. Wikipedia 750 London wine competition. That's coming up.
And then these are mine, franceforvisitors.com, G Adventures, and it's Maison Veron, but well, I don't know if they pronounce it that way because it is New Zealand, but they had a lot of facts about Burgundy.
Oh,
So
nice. And I did lose the Chateau de la Cuvée was somehow they got lost.
Okay.
But obviously I went to their own website.
Delete it.
Yeah.
All right, so next week.
All right. I need to do a whole kind of
Oh,
thing. All right. We got a little more going on next week.
Why is this here? I think you screwed up. And he
I
said,
did not.
nope, it's for a reason. Don't ask me about it now.
I'm hyping. I'm
Don't
hyping
ask
for
me.
next week.
Just-
All right.
All right.
Next week, we are staying old world. We're going old school, old world. All right, we are returning to one of our favorite old world locations. Now, when we drank there last time, I'm going to jump down real quick. We had the red wine, right? Dry reds are actually a newer thing for this area, and we loved it. We had a really good time. But the red wine is grown here, further south on the island, right? Where and further lower elevation, where we're actually growing in volcanic clay.
Okay.
But remember, we all talked about what's this? Because these are the famous pictures.
Mhm.
What are these wines?
Yeah.
These wines, this is what we're going to drink next week.
Okay.
All right, these vines up here in the middle of that black ash, and they have to put stones around them, protect the vines from the wind.
Oh, that's right, because it's extremely windy there.
Yeah.
All right.
That wine is what we're going to drink next week.
I'm excited because I missed the last Canary Island.
Bermejos Malvasia Dolce Lanzarote.
Is there really no label?
There is not. That is what it looks like, pretty much. There's a little thing on the bottom that they added with the importer.
Okay.
All right, Canary Islands, Spain. It is a white. It is, ladies and gentlemen, a dessert wine.
Okay.
That is the tradition origin, sweet wines from the Canary Islands. White sweet is what comes from that area. Wait till you see the bottle. It is that gorgeous.
Sweet.
That's right. It is a non-fortified, so no liquor added. This is true to form what they were making.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So
So I'm going to have some cheeses. I've got to have a plate in front of me to drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes sense. So
Because I
pate and
think we need to
framboise.
offset the sweet.
You're gonna want, yeah, it is a sweet wine,
Okay.
right? Pate and framboise. Cheeses from creamy to sharp, preferably a combination of the two.
Really? Because before, and I guess maybe it's just with red wines, but creamy, it like coats your palate, makes it so you can, well, I guess that'd be good for me. I won't taste the sweet.
Right, well, if you were to take some raspberries
Mhm,
and put them on top of brie
mhm,
and then sip it with this,
mhm.
and this would almost be. Then let me just say it would taste really good. I don't want to give away tasting notes and
Okay,
everything.
all right.
Dried fruits,
So we will need to
chocolates.
do maybe a little charcuterie
Mhm.
for ourselves next week.
Right, so this
We'll
is
see to make it through.
like, look, I know I hyped it up, but I want you guys on board. It's gonna be really, really cool.
Okay,
It is delicious.
all right, I'm down for
Right,
something new. Cool.
there you go. It is a 500 milliliter bottle.
Okay.
So it's 3/4 of a normal bottle.
Smaller.
Mhm.
All right.
So anyway, that is where we're going.
All right, well, it's very different, so
Right,
I'm intrigued.
okay,
All right,
good. That's, you know what? Then I did my job.
I do need some wine to toast.
Hype man extraordinary.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any last questions, comments, anything? All right,
All right, well,
Thank
let's
you all for-
toast out this, I think,
Cheers.
wonderful Burgundian.
absolutely.
Thank you for joining us, and you are welcome. This is delicious.